What's going on, guys? In this video, I'm going to read off a post that I made inside of my school community, and it's going to explain to you why most people never achieve the goals that they really want to achieve. And after I'm done reading it, I'm going to give you some more commentary on it, and this will teach you how to achieve the goals that you really want to achieve, those things that 90% of people never actually are able to accomplish. So let's get into it. So I titled the post, "It's just as hard to make $100,000 as it is to make $100 million." Here's why you should only set massive goals for yourself. We tend to do this logical thing when we think about our goals, which is to take a bigger goal and break it down into bite-sized pieces. You want to make $10,000 a month, and so this month you think, okay, if I can just make $3,000 a month, then that'll be a great step in the right direction. But this isn't how it actually works. How you achieve $3,000 a month is different than how you achieve $10,000 a month and $100,000 a month. Meaning that if you want to change your focus to the short-term target of $3,000 a month, you actually slow down your progress towards your actual goal of $10,000 a month. This is because results aren't linear progressions. Each level of success comes with a completely different approach. In my real estate career, I make over $10,000 a month. If my goal was to consistently make $20,000 a month, my strategy would be to just do more of what I'm already doing and do it better. If the goal is to jump to $100,000 a month, then I would have to rethink my strategy from the ground up because what I'm doing now can't get me there. You see how if my goal was $100,000 a month, but I set a quote milestone of $20,000 a month, it would actually lead me down the wrong path. What happens is we set a big goal, but we get impatient and look for something that seems a bit more in reach that we can achieve quicker. Here's the other funny part about this, though. Your short-term, quote, easier goal is actually just as hard as your long-term big goal. That's because everything in life is hard. Different challenges come with different kinds of hard, but there is no big goal or small goal in any area of life that will be easy. One guy wants to date tons of women, another guy wants a relationship. You might think the relationship is easier because it's only one woman, but you quickly realize it's just a completely different kind of hard. So if everything is hard, rather than aiming for quote attainable goals, you should aim for goals that are motivating enough for you to make it through all the bullshit involved in achieving them. The goal that is most attainable is actually the one you're willing to stick with, not the one that seems closest to you. This is something that is so important to understand, guys. It's something that I think really has held me back in my life, is I've always been somebody who set a lot of goals, but I would find myself in this situation where I would set a huge goal and realize it was this daunting task. And then I would start trying to just achieve little incremental steps. I'd be like, okay, so I want to make, X amount of dollars per month. Let's say it's $20,000 per month. And then I would be in a situation maybe where I'm flat broke. And I'd be like, well, first thing I need to do is let's get this thing up to $3,000 a month. And then logically, right, I'll go from 3 to 5 to 10 to 15 to 20, right? And this is how our mind starts thinking. We think that to make $10,000 a month is closer to $100,000 a month than zero. And therefore, to make $10,000 a month is progress towards $100,000 a month. And people do this in every area of their life. They want to be in fantastic shape. And so they set some goal of I'm going to lose 5 pounds. And they think that because they lost 5 pounds, they're closer to being in fantastic shape. But that's not necessarily the case. And it's this thing where people, they set these goals for themselves, and they quickly realize that the goal is really hard. And so they start thinking about something quicker that they can get. And they're just okay, well, my real goal is going to take a lot longer than I thought. So maybe I'll just aim at this other thing. And then they get sidetracked by these mini goals that they're chasing along the way. And they actually end up chasing down wrong paths that end up making things take a lot longer. I know somebody who kind of did this. He was flat broke. And that was obviously a really stressful position. And he had these huge goals for himself financially. He wanted to make a crap ton of money. And what he did was he was the pain of his current situation got so high. He was I just got to get to where I'm making $10,000 a month or something. And so he kind of changed course and started working on getting into a corporate career that could pay him the money he wanted. And he did achieve that goal. But what happened is he ended up kind of running down this path that now he created more problems for himself. And he's almost got to back out of what he's doing and find a way back into the path that's going to get him to what he really wanted. And so he ends up making things take a lot longer. And again, I've done this a number of times in my life. And I really think this has probably cost me years, is just genuinely not focusing on the big goal. Because the thing about achieving a goal is that the way you make progress is not about like incremental steps. It's what happens is you change your complete approach to something and you make this big step. This is how it works. In fitness, right? I've made these multiple steps during my fitness journey. The first time was I started working out in general. Then the next time was I went from, doing push-ups and like bench press and not really knowing what I was doing to learning how to actually bodybuild. And then I did that for a while. And then I learned how to diet, and that meant my results went up again. It's not like just this kind of like gradual progression. It's like step, step, step as you change your behaviors. And this is how actually achieving goals works. And what happens is you find that the things that you actually want to achieve require different actions than the things that are currently right now within reach for you. And so what happens is also you find that any kind of goal that you want to achieve is going to require behavior change. It's going to require something to be different. Otherwise, you would already have the thing, right? If you were already doing the things that somebody who makes $10,000 per month does, you would have $10,000 per month coming in. And so you understand that no matter what the goal is, you're going to have to change behavior to achieve that goal. And behavior change is actually probably the hardest part of all of this. And so what happens is you have to go through to achieve any goal. You're going to have to go through failures, setbacks, disappointments, behavior changes. You're not going to feel like it. You're going to be unmotivated some days and things like that. And the only goals that you're actually able to stick with end up being the ones that actually matter to you. And you quickly figure out that those ones that are like kind of little milestone goals you've set for yourself don't matter that much to you. And so you just don't have the drive to stick with the behavior change that is required and deal with all the bullshit involved in it. And so something I've learned that I have to do is I have to start looking at goals and say, like, what does this actually look like? Like finished product, what do I actually want? And then once I get clear on that, I have to understand I have to act like that person now. It's not a matter of like, I'm just going to make this step and then this step and then this step and then I'll end up there. No, what it is I have to radically change as a person if I want to get to this goal. And if I keep trying to make these little steps, I'm just basically doing more of what I'm already doing, which isn't getting me where I want to go. Do you understand how that works? And so like in any area of your life, it's about changing yourself from the ground up to achieve a goal. It's not about, doing little incremental things and trying to chase the next thing that's in range. It's not this like progression thing where you just like gradually move through your life, like getting better and better and like achieving little milestones along the way. That's not how it works. The milestone is the big goal. All that other shit, like you don't actually know what it's going to look like to make progress towards the real goal. Do you understand what I'm saying? So like, for example, we'll go back to the fitness one. If your goal was you wanted to completely recomp your body and you wanted to have this aesthetic physique, have a lot of muscle and be lean, and right now, let's say that you're like a skinny fat guy. Well, if that is your goal, then what you actually want to do is do a bulk. You want to put on muscle first. You want to actually gain weight in the short term so that later you can cut fat and then you're going to have the muscle and you're going to lose the fat. But if you set the goal and it's like, okay, I want this aesthetic physique, but in the short term, I just want to lose fat. I want to have abs, right? So now you chase abs, and what you do is you end up cutting your calories down. You get a lot skinnier, and you actually make it take longer to get to what you want in the end anyways, because you're still going to have to bulk up and lose those abs to go get the body that you actually want anyways. And so you see how it's like you just made it take longer to get what you actually wanted. And I'll deal with people like this. They'll be like, I'm going to go on a mini cut right now so that I can see my abs, and then I'm going to bulk. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense, because the moment you go on the mini cut and get the abs, you're just going to lose them again to go on the bulk. Just go ahead and go on the bulk if that's what we're going to do here. You get what I'm saying? I've had to learn this in my career. Is like I was kind of chasing the next income milestone in real estate. And I realized I'm just going to create more problems for myself and make it harder for myself to get out of this situation and get into the vehicle that's actually going to get me to my big financial goals that I have. And this also applies, I've done this in relationships and dating and things like that too, where it's like, truthfully, I'm not in a position in my life where I want a long-term girlfriend. I don't want a relationship. I'm not thinking about marriage right now, but it's like, you'll go out and be like, I want to date a bunch of girls casually and just enjoy my dating life. And you find that that's difficult. And then the next thing you do is you're like, oh, well, maybe I'd just be happy just having a girlfriend or something like that. And your mind thinks that it's this easier goal to achieve. Your mind's like, oh, well, if I couldn't, if it's difficult to have 10 girls that I'm dating regularly, well, it'll be easier to get one. And it's like, it's actually not. And there's just as much drama and bullshit involved in that as there is in having 10. It's just that you don't actually want this. And so you just create more problems for yourself by avoiding the thing that feels like a big goal. And so you have to really avoid this along the way. If you're going after something financial, let's say you're starting a business and you want to make $10,000 a month because that's going to get you like you actually want this goal. Like it's actually a motivating goal to you. You're like, I'm going to be able to afford an apartment and travel and do cool stuff and have a nice life for myself. And this is what I want. And then you start working on trying to achieve this goal of $10,000 a month. And you're like, yeah, but right now, like it would be really nice to make an extra $1,000 a month. And it's like the thing that's going to get you an extra $1,000 a month might not be the thing that's going to get you to $10,000 per month. And so you have to just be really clear on like, what is the big goal? And then ask yourself, what path is going to get me to that? And that's what you have to start doing now. You don't chase the short-term closer thing that you think is going to be easier and then later go after this thing because it's just kind of like a logical progression. It's not a logical progression. These are completely different paths. The easiest way to make $50,000, $60,000 per year is to go get some 9-to-5 job. But that is like, you're not going to make $1 million a year in a 9-to-5 job. So you see how like if you weren't making any money, going to $50,000 per year in a 9-to-5 is in some way a backward step because you're going to go down this path and just have to turn around to go get what you really want. And this happens in everything in life. You have to understand that hard goals, like every goal is hard. There is nothing you're going to try and do that is going to be easy. Another story on this is like when I tried to, when I was in my early 20s, I was flat broke. And I was like, I'm going to have to get some sort of income coming in here. I'm going to have to get a job so I can keep funding my lifestyle and, getting myself to a place where I can continue to learn and grow and improve myself and figure out how to achieve my big goals. And so I was like, I'm going to go try and get a job. I just need a job that pays me like $15 an hour. And it's going to be, something I can control my time a little bit on. It's just going to pay me enough money to survive off of while I work on my real goals here. And I started applying for jobs and I realized just how fucking hard it is to get a $15 an hour job. It's like you have to apply for jobs everywhere. They're acting like this fucking job is going to change your life or some shit. It's like barely any money. And you're just like, why is this so damn hard? You know what I mean? You figure out that like literally everything in life is hard. Every goal is hard. Even losing 5 pounds is hard because you got to cut calories and you don't want to cut calories. And so even that's hard. And so what I tell you is like, stop chasing what you think are attainable goals and chase what you actually want, because any goal in life is attainable. If somebody's done it, then you can do it too. Okay. And if that's the case, then the real defining factor between whether you achieve your goals or don't achieve your goals is simply your willingness to get through the bullshit involved in achieving that goal. And the thing that's going to determine your stamina and tolerance for the bullshit involved is how bad you actually want the thing. And so if you don't actually want it, it doesn't matter how, quote, easy it is, you're just not going to do it. Do you see what I'm saying with that? Like, it's just so important that you grasp this. And this is why most people don't achieve goals. They don't set big enough goals that they actually give a fuck about. They go after these little goals that they think are within reach, but they just don't care. They just don't care about losing 5 pounds. Like, they just don't care about making an extra $10,000 per year, right? If you're making $80,000 a year and you want to do a bunch of work to get up to $90,000 a year, how much is that realistically going to change your life? Like, not much. I mean, when you factor in the taxes and everything, you end up making what, like an extra $7,000 a year? Split that up over 12 months, you made an extra what, like $650 a month. I mean, like, I'll take it, but is this really, like, life-changing? Is this something that's really motivating? Is this a game changer? Are you gonna put up with all the bullshit involved in making that happen? Because you're gonna find that there's bullshit involved in that. It was like when I worked an hourly job, going from $15 an hour once I finally got that job to $18 an hour involved bullshit. It was like I had to go get like a notary. I had to become a notary. I had to like take on a ton more responsibility and like supervisory roles and shit. And it's like, all of this for $3 an hour, like, does this really change my life that much? You know what I'm saying? It's like everything you're going to try and do in life is going to be difficult. It's going to have bullshit involved. And so my encouragement to you is figure out right now what bullshit you're willing to deal with for a certain goal. And then just go after that, and don't set these milestone targets along the way as if you can kind of predict in some sort of logical way how this is going to happen. Right? Like, I mean, sure, if your goal is to make $100,000 a month, you're probably going to have a $10,000 month before you have a $100,000 a month. But if you start thinking, I first need to get to 10,000 before I get to 100,000, then you're not thinking correctly about the behaviors and the things you need to start doing to actually get what you want. So I hope that makes sense, guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. I'll talk to you later.